I was telling stories a while ago, going to the hotline, Lone Star Speed Zone hotline. This lady right here, I saw her back in the 80s at San Antonio Speedway driving rigs. This is fun for me. Shawna Robinson. Shawna, how are you, ma'am?
I'm great. Oh my God, I did not know that you saw me back that long ago. That's crazy.
Shawna, let me tell you something. So when I saw you at San Antonio, so that they had posters. I mean, you guys, your dad would hang posters all around the racetrack. I stole one and had it in my bedroom for a long time with the Great American Truck Races that were hanging up right there. I dial it back.
Oh, yeah. That's when you learn about marketing, and your dad hands you a big old stack of flyers and said, go to the parking lots and put them on people's I'm like, oh, my God, I hated that job. I hated that. But I got to say, I learned a lot more from him than that. He knew how to promote.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's good at that.
That was a good thing. So tell me, how did all of that evolve? I mean, looking back, I think back in those days, I mean, I see that they call him by his first name, but if I remember correctly, back then, wasn't he Burr Robinson, BRR Robinson?
Yeah, that was my brother.
Oh, that was your brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My brother was Bland.
Okay.
His initials were Bland Richard Robinson, so we always called him Burr. But my dad's name was Richard, but everybody called him Lefty. So he was the promoter. But how it all really started is I was 18, graduated from high school. My dad had raced my whole life. So my sisters and my brother raced, and we had all grown up. My mom worked at the grandstands, my aunts, uncles, cousins. We all worked worked around racing. That's all we knew. And then later, about the time I was graduating high school, my dad started promoting at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. And then he started this whole truck thing to bring in a different caliber of fans.
Right.
And that's really how the whole truck thing began. And then my brother did a jump. It was kind of like the Robinson Circus. A little bit. But at that time, it was ahead of its time. My dad actually was one of the first to invert a field when he was promoting at the Iowa State Fairgrounds in stock car racing. He's the one who came up with inverting a field in the early 80s, maybe late 70s. But yeah, crazy. That's kind of the childhood in a nutshell.
Oh man, that's the way we all get stuck in this thing. So how did you? I mean, and I've heard the story. I mean, talk about how you wound up in a truck. I mean, you were going to help out with the family, and here comes Toledo. I mean, you end up in one of these things. How the hell did this all come about for you?
Well, what I thought was, Dad was like, "Come on, I want you to go." It was kind of like the summer. Didn't know, I didn't have college plans or anything set up for the next semester starting. Yeah. So it was kind of like summer. Dad was going on the road with marketing, and he was like, come on, I'm going to teach you marketing. And I mean, we grew up packing the racetrack, right, and driving everything from the time we were little girls, like all of us. And my brother, all of a sudden. I mean, not all of a sudden, but all the time. And so what I thought was, my dad wanted me to go to teach me, but then later, after my dad had passed away, and my mother told me that he did not like your high school boyfriend. I dated one boy from 15 to 18, and his goal was to get me out of Des Moines. So basically, that's what happened. And the first track we went to was Toledo. And he had like a fleet of trucks, and then you had regular people come in. Well, I just kind of started helping unload and do the deal, because that's what we did. We were used to it. Yep. And I just kind of went out on the track and started taking laps, and that's when he challenged me. He basically put a dare, like, oh, you think you can... He noticed that I was getting on and off the throttle, right, and that I didn't have any fear. He's like, oh, you get out there so the trucks will scare you. So that was a challenge. So I never refused a challenge. So that's how it happened. And I raced that night. And for that year, that was in 83, like literally 2 days after I graduated high school. So for that summer and that year, it was just fun.
Yeah.
and an experience and a tutorial of learning about marketing yourself, marketing. He would give me a budget. I would go to the stations. I would buy the commercial time, set the spots up. So I was learning so much at that age. And then after a year, it was like, well, we got to get a better truck. And then that season, the series started, the Great American Truck Racing, which was actually already going on, but I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And they raced on speedways. And so that's when we moved up. And that's when I kind of took it more as this is serious. It's not just a summer playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So how hard were those to drive? I mean, because I remember at San Antonio, that was a half-mile high bank. I mean, it was banked. I mean, the track's still there, but how did those trucks? How the hell, man? That couldn't have been like cruising in the Mercedes around the racetrack.
Well, okay. Well, I never did that, so so I didn't know any different. I mean. Yeah. It just was a kind of a natural, like, packing a track at the Iowa Fairgrounds in the black dirt of Iowa with clumps and sliding sideways and well, who knows what you're driving. I never knew any different. I didn't start, like, racing in go-karts, so I didn't go from lightweight to heavyweight. I went from heavyweight to lightweight, which, isn't common, but I think that really helped me adapt from going from an 8,000 pound. Well, actually, they were more like 12, then 8 when they got more modified, and then into stock cars at 2,700 and under.
Yeah, no doubt. So it wasn't soon thereafter when people started realizing. I mean, they see this. I mean, they see you doing all of this, and then you get other opportunities. I mean, it happened quick for you, didn't it? I mean, you're sitting out there, you're kicking all these guys' asses in the trucks, and then next thing you know, it's like, let's take this lady car racing.
Yeah, I think as like maybe an actor or a country singer would say, there's probably a lot more time involved to get to that next level. So there were a lot of races and a lot of things happening, but it was kind of like I always try to set goals for myself, and I didn't feel like I had a whole lot farther to expand in the trucks. So going, I always wanted to do circle track, NASCAR, oval racing. I never had a desire really for road racing because I didn't really know anything about it. But so that's when Pat Patterson, who is still in a job today with announcing and a commentator,
the racing guy.
He had approached my sponsor about going from trucks to cars, and Dryden Oil at the time which funny is now involved again in ARCA and in motorsports. But at the time they were like, well, we agree she needs to expand, but we don't have the ability to promote her in that. Like, we're like a pebble and this is like a huge rock to go to. So Casey's General Stores out of Des Moines, they were really, Don Lamberti was responsible for me having the opportunity to get in a dash car at Daytona, and Pat set me up with David Watson, who was a very stable car owner in that series. And I think that's part of the reason why when I made the transition, it went well, because I was with a stable team and consistent for the first 2 years. We won races. We were competitive every time we unloaded. So that's how the transition happened. And it was because of the support that I had with, businesses here and there that made that change happen.
Yeah. It's all about marketing. I mean, it always has been. I mean, it always has been. So talk about that transition from those big old rigs to those dash cars. I mean, those were tiny. I mean, I wish we still had something like that. But man, you were so good in those. I mean,
those were so fun.
I bet.
And
I bet
they were. It was such a good up and coming at the time. You know, Michael Waltrip had ran in those.
Yeah.
Dickie Allison had ran in those. I think now ARCA is the base for getting in. If you're going to get to the next level of the next level, you're going to pretty much go through ARCA. And it has established itself so well with Billy Venturini. It's just the owners and the drivers. Look at Ty Gibbs. Look at how they've all up and come. That was my opportunity after Dash. And the Dash series was so cool. The first time we went to go to a test at Daytona, and they're like, you know, I'd only been in a truck, but I'd been in a truck at like Atlanta. I'd been in a truck at over 150 miles an hour in a heavy truck.
Yeah.
So it was like Daytona, you're getting a 4-cylinder car and you're out there. This is by yourself, and it's like,
yeah. It's like, now what?
you don't live. You don't anything. Is this as fast as this goes? So, but then, you know, you learn to draft, you learn to feel the car, and there was a lot more to learn. But yeah, it was a great way to enter. And at the time, in the 88, 89, running the Dash Series was the best thing. I think leaving the Dash Series too soon was probably one of the mistakes I made.
Really? I'd never...
Because I was with a solid winning team.
Yeah.
And then I went in because I was so impatient, which is definitely a trait of mine. I was so impatient that it's like I wanted to go. But then what I did is I went to limited this, limited that, partial ride, partial this. And that's not the way to go. If anybody's going to be successful, you got to be consistent.
That's right. That's a great point. That is a great point. So, Shawna, for you, I mean, because seriously, I mean, you were one of the ones, like when I messaged you, I mean, you, when we look now when we talk about ladies, you know, moving into the sport, I mean, we got a Haley Deegan, you know, we had Danica and all these great folks that have been a part of this, Brittany Zamora, all of the great drivers, but you and Robin McCall Dallenbach that was here from our neck of the woods. I mean, that has to be really cool for you knowing, I mean, you are an innovator. I don't know if you think of yourself of that as, but man, you broke down a lot of barriers.
I don't feel that gets me all stumbled. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do know. I didn't know how to be any different, but yeah, to make your point, yes, I do see that it did open doors. And I'll tell you, people that lived that time frame and that I motivated, which you're going to be surprised, is Kelly Earnhardt Miller. Kelly.
Yep.
Because she was driving late models and she was racing. And for her, I was somebody that she looked up to. Robin McCall and I were at one time negotiating to be teammates.
Oh, wow.
Through, I think it was J.D. Stacy.
The Stacy pack.
In the day. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, my dad put the damn halt on it because kibosh.
Kibosh.
Just correct.
There it is. Nice.
Kibosh on it because they approached, I was at the time was in the trucks or moved to the dash cars, and they had just put her in some late models, Texas, Alabama, all around, and they wanted, she was A team and I was going to be B team, and my dad's like, you're not going to be B team, let's just hold off and we'll wait. So, I mean, I was excited. We were going to be like roommates and race. So, but it never came to form, though. I did end up decorating for Robin and Wally when I was actually pregnant with my son. So it's funny how the world, you always kind of come back around again. But back to my point is you had Kelly, Sherry Pollock, who's a dear friend of mine. Martin Truex, Sherry Strong. Her dad was an owner in the Busch Series at the time, and she like really like looked up to me, like cool. So it's like the era of, and then you had, and then now later you're seeing so many more women, and I mean, Danica, you know, open wheel road racing winner, and then moving to NASCAR, perfect scenario. Haley, background, perfect scenario. No question that they are both racers.
Yep.
But a different upbringing completely than I feel like where I began or I came into the sport.
I agree.
Completely different.
I agree. Yeah. You did your time. That's very
Let's
different.
hope I don't do any other kind of time.
yeah. Please don't do that.
Was a joke.
That'd be a different interview.
Doing your time is like I definitely did it.
Different interview.
No, and I'm very, very grateful for having that. Do you not think that I ever didn't regret in 2005 when I kind of walked away in a way because things were so. I was in a Busch car. It was not the equipment. I wasn't a park and start. I was never going to be a park and start.
Right.
I didn't want to go there. So, you know, you can always say what if, but I don't have the regrets of it because I was able to create other passions in my life. But I'll tell you, racing is it never leaves you ever.
Oh no, yeah. I've walked away for I can't tell you how many times. But so talk about this. So you keep going, you get to the Busch Series, and then you walk away, and you have a family, and that is so hard to just step away and you become a mom, you become a wife and all of that. And then you jump back in again. I mean, walk us through that whole, that was a series of several years where you kind of disappear and then boom, here you come again and you're kicking everybody's ass on ARCA, on the ARCA series again.
Yeah. And how that happened, very, you've had to have heard this story, but very funny.
I've heard it.
Well, yeah, I knew you had,
Tell
but
it.
not,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say 94 is when it started getting to where like equipment capabilities of achieving what I wanted. 96, 95 did nothing but like search. I always went to James Finch, who Jeff Purvis was driving for.
Yep.
And people may remember, may not, but Mark Reno was the crew chief. Every time they ever came to a racetrack, they were like up front, best equipment. James Finch never went anywhere without the best equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always through my other rides, experiences, racing, would go up to him and say, would you just put me in a car? One time, please.
Yep.
Just give me a chance.
That's right.
And so they called me right before going to test at Daytona in 95, and they said, hey, we're going to put Purvis in the Cup car. We're going to go ahead and take the ARCA car. You want to come test and, look at running Daytona for us in ARCA. So I hung up on Mark Reno. And I went and did 5 more pregnancy tests, and I called him back, and I'm like, okay, listen, you know how bad I've wanted this. And for the last year, I've been looking for, like, that opportunity. But I could do it. No one would know. It's early. I just found out. But I can't do it because I'm pregnant.
Right.
So it was just, like, hesitant silence.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's the first excuse I've ever gotten from the driver. So that's what happened. But then let me tell you what happened is Tanner was born in 96. Sam was born in 97. In 99, I drove for James Finch and Mark Reno at Daytona in the Bob Evans car and finished second under caution.
Yeah, you did.
And, we all wish we could relive, but it would have been wreck or win. No question. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby Gerhart would agree with me, I think, on that. He ended up winning, but the race finished under caution. But that led me to Michael Krenifus and getting a full ARCA ride, which, like I said, a full season, the best way you can go.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. How cool was that for you? I mean, getting that full ride, and I mean, you jump back in, and it was like you never left. I mean, you come back in, you were even better.
I was better.
You were better. Yeah,
I was better.
Yeah.
No, I was better, and I think if people really knew all the things that was going on in my life at that time, they'd be blown away. And if I ever get the opportunity to write a book, they'll know. But there was a lot of stuff happening at Daytona. That weekend, the whole deal, when I ran for Finch and I finished second, and then the sponsor came about, there was a lot of other stuff happening, and you focus on what's going to make you the best, what's going to be the best for your kids, and you know, I got a lot of negative on going back to driving after having children. And some people have opinions about that, and I definitely don't not agree with their opinions. Obviously, my opinion is my own, but I just kind of felt like that if you climb mountains or you set goals or you competed for a gold medal and then you have a child, are you going to stop doing those things?
That's right.
Even at an age where you can still compete.
Yeah.
It is, you know, it's not, are you going to quit being an athlete because you have a child? I think no. Are you going to probably regulate and know what your boundaries are later on? Then yes. But I knew I came back better. I knew I came back more clear-headed. And I also had a lot of, let's just say, it always seemed like if things in my professional life were
the timeline.
Great.
Yeah, the timeline. Yeah.
Great. I mean, amazing. Things in my personal life were terrible. So for some reason, those things kind of always happened at the same time. But getting through it all, it was good decisions and solid decisions.
Yeah. I mean, talk about that. I mean, talking about personal life. I mean, the C word. I mean that, and I don't mean checkered flag when I say the C word. You're a survivor. That had to have been so hard. I mean, for that to come about. I mean, that's something that when you talk about, you can talk about all the wins that you may have had in your racing career, but I think for you, your biggest win is being a survivor.
It is, and and I'll tell you that came later in life.
Yeah, later,
and very much shock. And let me just tell you, same thing. Whatever you're doing, if you got something like thrown in your way, like this is what you got to do, then you figure out a way to do it, and you figure out a way to make it whatever your challenges are. Yeah. I don't think Sherry Pollock's is a better way to look at how you get through things. And her type of cancer with ovarian is, I mean, not to put that breast isn't. It was definitely tough. I was literally at a stage 3 and didn't know what was going to happen next. But all I knew is like, well, let's go. Yeah. And the hardest thing is like, oh, okay, well, your surgeon's going to call you and then you got to wait. It's all like you wanted to do is just go. Yeah. But I think what was even harder than that, I got through it. I've gotten through it. I still have my tests. Well, actually, I just went from every 3 months now. My next one doesn't have to be for a year. So that's great. But I think one of the hardest things was my son getting cancer at 19 after I had just gone through it.
Yeah.
When he got testicular cancer at 19, and he shaved his head for me when my hair fell out.
Oh, I love
that. And then, right after I finished, which was 2-3 years later, his hair fell out because of chemo. And that's just not, that's where you think about why and how. And I guess when it's your battle, you feel like you're in control of it, but you would give your battle away in a minute for theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that, but I will say that now Tanner is, he's cancer free. He had to go through the chemo and the surgery, and it's affected his life after that. And, you know, you just got to try to stay positive and go forward.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell somebody that when they don't quite understand it, but
yeah,
he's moving forward.
Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Shawna, tell me about, your real life. I'm a real estate guy in real life. You interior design. You talked about Kelly Earnhardt Miller. Tell us all about your real passion. Racing is really important to you, but you do some really cool things.
I don't know if you call them really well. The decorating and design factor is very cool and top shelf.
Yeah.
The other things I do, you would not even believe. Like, I have these little projects going on that, like, I swear if I probably never got in racing at 18, 19,
yeah,
if I would have probably ended up getting into set design somehow. Well,
nice.
It probably, who knows, but I have a definitely craziness for that. I don't know that I'm really good at it, but I did 10 years of catwalk for a cause with Martin Truex Jr. Foundation.
Yeah.
And I set all these stage sets and I built everything. Literally with my team building, we got blocks of sea foam for marine foam and carved them between chisel knives and chainsaws, carved them into a Midsummer Night's Dream theme. That was one thing that was like crazy. And then I created trees out of paper mache and plumbing parts, and it's so funny. I'll go to Lowe's. My latest is an anchor. My sister, I know. My latest is an anchor, which my sister sent me a picture because she's doing a stage show in honor of a poet in Sullivan's Island, Charleston. And so she's like, here's what I need you to make me. Oh, it's just a 6-foot anchor that needs to look like it's iron and whatever, like old. And, so I can tell you there are many found objects that are inside that anchor that I can't even tell you. There's everything from pool noodles to piping to wire, who knows? And then all covered in umbrella.
Umbrellas.
I use an umbrella.
I hear
because,
that.
the one side of the anchor has the bend and it's got to like lean into the sand.
Yeah.
So I took the umbrella and wrapped it. And I'm telling you what, this great stuff foam that's for insulation and fixing leaks, that stuff hardens. You can do anything.
Man.
It's like crazy. So anyway, not to get off track, but that's been my little latest. But on a full scale, I just finished a beautiful townhome in Uptown Charlotte for a client, and now I am working on a absolutely amazing house in Cornelius on the lake, completely furnishing. I've done a lot of race shops, houses, but just my business is word of mouth. In fact, I need to update my website. It's all still. Then I look back and look at the chairs and the furniture I created. Like, whoa! I haven't done that now in a while, but I created some pretty cool pieces.
Yeah. I've seen some of that stuff. Can you come to Texas? My house needs updating.
I come to Texas.
Come on,
all the time.
Free lodging.
Round Top, Dallas. I'll go to Round Top. In fact, I'm going to Brimfield, which is not Texas, but I just was at Round Top.
Really?
And now instead of going there to set up, I set up at Round Top. Miranda Lambert bought for her Oklahoma bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
One room is all my stuff.
That's awesome.
And Round Top's huge. And now, the last time I went more as a shopper, not a vendor or set up.
Yeah. So, I'm just north of Austin. So next time you're here, you need to message me.
Oh my God, you're right there.
I'm in Round Rock. I'm like 12 miles north.
I know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So now I don't have to worry about like where am I going to stay or get a place to
Free lodging.
To live for 2 weeks.
All of our kids have grown up. We've got 2 free rooms right here for you and a wine bar full, ready to go.
Oh my gosh! Well, no, I'm coming. No, and I bet your wife loves Round Top too. Or you guys are right there.
She
so you
actually
hadn't.
Like she's never been there. You can take her. She's wanting to go there. You can take her.
What?
You can take
her.
Oh
no.
Yeah. So Shawna,
I would love to do that.
Shawna,
so let's say next.
Time. I mean, let's book.
We'll look that up.
Message me before I let you go, and thank you. I mean, this has been so fun.
I will do that, and I've enjoyed, and I hope I didn't overstep my.
Oh my God! Are you kidding? I just like people that talk. I just want people to talk to me. So for you, more gratifying, racing or what you're doing now? I mean, I know when you grow up in the sport, it's ingrained in you. You can't get rid of it. But man, you seem to love what you're doing now. What? Tell me about your legacy. I mean, what's your imprint?
Oh God, that's the first time I've ever been asked that question.
Yeah, that's what I do right here. That is what I do.
I am gonna have the only way I can answer that question is for the time frame of my life as that person, and to become that person that I did from 18 to 25 years in one sport was a passion that was unbelievable and can never replace. Yeah. But for the time frame of life that I'm in now, I couldn't be in a better place. Oh. So I think I'm pretty lucky. I'm not rich by any means. Like, let's think, if I would have went past 2005 into the Danica days of racing and to the now Haley Deegan days, my numbers would have been totally different, and I would have a solid financial base. Well, I don't, but I'll tell you, I have a solid, happy base. Yeah. Not that money hurts, but let me just tell you, I have a very good person in my life who he is absolutely wonderful. We met because I own 5. Well, I've had 6 dogs at the time. Now I have 5, but at the time, he came to install a dog fence. It's not an invisible fence; it's dog watch. Yeah. And I got quotes from both. And let me tell you what, best thing I ever did. My dogs are happy and amazing, and we've been together now for 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
There you go.
That's awesome. See, when you come see us, you're going to be right at home because we have 2 very needy dogs. So you'll fit right in.
God. See, I would love that because I mean, my dogs, they all have their own personalities. They're all rescues. They're all some of them are rescues from family members. Let's just say that, but I love them all. Yeah. Love. Yeah. It's been so nice talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Shawna, I love this. Thanks so much. This has been so much fun. Thanks for taking the time. And let's talk soon.
All right, sounds good. Listen, if you want to do any what's ever happening in the news, get an update. Yeah. Let's have a conversation quick. I could be in for that too.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I love Texas.
Yeah.
And if my voice is heard in Texas, that's a great thing.
That's right.
And you want to talk about race results, you want to talk about ARCA, you want to talk about drivers. I'm all up for that, so keep me in mind.
Come see me, friend. I got about 3 shows that I do every week, so I would love to talk to you.
Okay, well, I kind of have a lot of work going on, so I could do a little. But
I didn't mean every one. I didn't mean each one. But
you know what? Don't offer it because I'll try to figure out how to do it.
No, that's okay. I'll take you up on it.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, take care, Shawna.